Hello guys, thanks for joining me. Today I thought I'd do a video on my deactivated Chinese Type 56 assault rifle. I've had this rifle for about 7 years and thereabouts, and it's a very nice item. It's a UK legal deactivation, so unfortunately it doesn't do anything, nothing moves in it basically. It's a nice wall hanger, but it's a nice item nevertheless. It has a little bit of history to it, which I thought you might be interested in hearing about. Anyhow, it's a Chinese copy of the Soviet AK-47, and this one is a copy of the AK-47 Type 3. The reason it's called a Type 56 is that in 1956 the factory opened to make these rifles. They were produced up until the 1990s, I believe. And this particular example here is probably a late 60s to early 80s version. And this particular rifle here was made for the PLA, that's the People Liberation Army, or the Chinese military. They were also produced for the export market, but this particular rifle here has Chinese markings, which show that it's actually a rifle made for the Chinese military. It ended up probably in Iraq and then ended up in the United Kingdom, but we'll come to that in a little while. So it's a nice rifle. It's about 25 inches in length with the folding stock closed. With the stock open, it's about just over 34 inches in length. It's quite a heavy gun. It weighs more than the Soviet and Warsaw Pact AK-47s. One reason is that the steel used on the Chinese copies are slightly thicker. The steel is 1.5 millimeters thick compared to the Russian steel, which is about 1 millimeter thick. Russian and Warsaw Pact rifles weigh just over 9 pounds, and this particular one here weighs just under 10 pounds. So there's about a half a pound difference in weight. As you can see, it has a wooden grip and foregrip, and that is made out of Manchurian chew wood. And I've got a selection of inert ammunition down there to go into the magazine. And basically it's a full automatic rifle. It does full automatic and single shot. The ammunition that it uses is the Soviet M43 cartridge, which is basically a 7.62 by 39 millimeter cartridge. The bullet is a 122 grain bullet, and that gets pushed out of the barrel at just over 2,300 feet per second. So it's quite a nice rifle. It fires on full automatic about 770 rounds per minute, so slightly less than the Soviet rifles. But anyhow, quite a nice example that I've got. It has a 16-inch barrel, 30-round magazine. On the left side of the receiver is the maker mark, and it's a triangle with a 66 in the middle, and that is the number 66 weapons factory, and that was based in Biang in northeastern China. And it was the very first factory that was opened with assistance by the Soviet Union in 1950, I think late 1955 the factory opened, and it began to produce the rifle late 1955 and into early 1956 onwards. And you can see beside the triangle it says 56-1. The -1 refers to the folding stock. And there's a serial number there. There's also a Chinese character just by the serial number, which infers that this is a production model for the Chinese army, as opposed to a, as I said earlier, export weapon. I've got a Warsaw Pact sling to go with it. So as I said, the rifle was made in 1956 onwards. The first rifles were milled receivers up until the 1960s, I believe the mid-1960s. and from the mid-1960s onwards they were pressed steel receivers, which is what this particular item here is. And that's it with the folding stock open. And I'm just going to take the camera a little bit closer. On the side of the receiver you can see two Chinese characters, which tell me that it's a PLA weapon. The export models had a L and a D instead of the Chinese characters. The L, or the Chinese character that's on the top, is full automatic. It is Lian. The Chinese character on the bottom, the export models would have had a D for Dan, which is single shot. The markings on the receiver and the ball carrier are the UK deactivation markings. So as I say, the wood is Chinese chew wood, and this one is unlacquered. Some of the rifles were made with a lacquer, kind of a reddish colored lacquer applied to the wood. The folding stock is slightly heavier steel gauge than the Soviet and Warsaw Pact one, so it doesn't have all the rivets on the rifle that the Soviet version had. And another feature that's different to the Warsaw Pact and Russian rifles is that the Chinese barrel is slightly heavier and it's also ribbed. Another interesting fact is that the rifle was deactivated in 2004 originally, so it's been deactivated twice. So there are two deactivation markings on it. And what's also interesting is that it's been used by some kind of a British agency. As you can see, there's a HMS number on it in electro pencil. So the bottom of the receiver is marked. And the magazine has the same number, 003. So it must have been used by some kind of a British agency, possibly border control or something, possibly as a training weapon at some point before it got deactivated to the modern standards, and then I bought it after that. So that's the magazine to go with it. So I've just inserted the inert ammunition into the magazine. Looking at the back sight, you can see it's marked 1 to 8, which is meters, so 100 meters to 800 meters. The 800 meters is rather optimistic. The effective range of this particular rifle is about 300 to 400 meters. There's also a D setting on the bottom. So basically, you can adjust the sight as required, but the D marking is a battle marking, and that allows you to hit a man-sized target between the ranges of 100 and 300 meters. And then on the front we got the front sight, which has a hood on it. The Soviet and Warsaw Pact AK-47s do not have a hood, but the Chinese one does. So that, I guess, is a quick overview of my deactivated Type 56. Hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching, and bye for now.